So, welcome everyone to the fifth Ogun State Diabetes Youth Camp. It is my pleasure to be here once again today. And like Dr. Adeshinor introduced me, my name is Inkiruka Okoro. I'm a healthcare professional and I work and reside in Scotland, Glasgow. And today I will be talking about how we can live strong with diabetes. Today's presentation is focused on how you can support one another emotionally and socially because diabetes can be very, very challenging, like Daddy mentioned in his introductory speech and welcome speech earlier on. And we need to work together to overcome all the challenges that diabetes puts out to us, both emotionally and socially. That's the only way we can move forward and ahead of the challenges. So I will start by defining what emotional support is. Emotional support is about how we feel and having people around us who understand and care. And social support means we are connected and not alone. In all honesty, we need both to move on. And I would like to tell you all that it's okay and normal for you to feel sad, angry, or even frustrated about living with diabetes. There were two participants at the camp who mentioned they felt this way. Everyone feels that way living with diabetes. And it just reminds us that emotions are a part of this journey with diabetes. So you can't separate the two from each other. And we don't have to hide or feel bad about living with diabetes. And Daddy made mention of this, which I was so excited to hear. You need to come out, you need to be open. You don't hide or don't say, I won't tell this person that I live with diabetes. I won't tell that person I live with diabetes. No, it's something that you have to be open about. And we should also be aware that diabetes burnout actually happens. And this happens when the whole management self-care routine overwhelms you. And it's okay for you at a point in time to just take a step back, take a break, and reassess everything with your management plan. Last year in June, for the first time in 37 plus years, I had a breakdown. And my husband had to remind me. He says, you need to take small steps. These small steps you take are okay. And you also need to remember that you're a human being and not a robot, and that you are not perfect. So you don't have to go overboard and start stressing yourself. I totally could not control my outburst. I was crying. My kids were like, oh, Mom, what's wrong with you? There was something my son said. He said, Mom, I thought that nothing could ever hold you down. I've always looked up to you for strength, and me seeing you crying like this, it makes me feel sad. And I said, son, Mom is a human being. Mommy isn't a robot. She's not made of metal and chips. I'm human and it's okay. Mom just needs to get out all the pent up emotions from managing diabetes for such a long time. And he was able to understand. And another thing that I would like to point out is that stigma in diabetes is real. Sometimes people will say things to you about living with diabetes that are quite hurtful. But you don't need to feel bad about this. All you need to do is be more open. You educate them and let them know things they do not know about diabetes. And remember, diabetes doesn't define you. So, I can't see my slide up yet. Okay, so this is my presentation overview. So we're going to talk about understanding diabetes in children and teens. We're going to also talk about the emotional well-being and diabetes and social support systems for young persons living with diabetes and how we can empower kids and teenagers to live strong with diabetes. Next slide, please. So now, understanding diabetes in children and teenagers. You can move to the next slide, please. Okay, so first of all, we all know that we have different types of diabetes, but the major types of diabetes that affect young people are type 1 diabetes and type 2 diabetes. And it's very important that you understand the type of diabetes that you're living with, because this will make your support and management more strategized and individualized to your person. No two persons living with diabetes have the same treatment plan. That is something that we all have to understand, because person A takes 30 units of insulin doesn't mean that person B will take the same 30 units of insulin or the same type of insulin. So understanding the type of diabetes you have and understanding how your body responds to everything is very, very important. So the next slide, please. Okay, so this is me at age 11 when I was faced with common challenges that I'm sure that most of you out there have faced or are still facing. Blood sugar management. When I was about this age, you can see how skinny I looked there. When I had to dig out these pictures, oh my goodness, I had a mixed feeling. I was like, oh my God, I wish I knew what I knew now back then. I wouldn't have been like this. And I know that a vast majority of you all are facing these common challenges as well. Like the previous presenter, that's doctor, she talked about blood sugar testing. So you need to understand how and what each blood sugar reading actually means. So for you to live healthy and stay healthy, you must check your blood sugar on a regular basis. And for dietary restriction, back then in the late 80s, the treatment of diabetes was totally different from what it is now. I was placed on vegetable and only protein diet, and the result is the way I looked. I know some of us are still following that strict dietary guideline. You all need to know that as persons living with diabetes, you can actually eat everything that you feel like eating. It's all about knowing the quantity, knowing the portion. So you have to be mindful of your portion, frequency. Daddy mentioned all of this in the beginning of his speech. And how much calories, the type of insulin that you use, counting your carbs to match to your insulin ratio. So with all this, you'll be able to overcome challenges associated with dietary restriction. And then the next is social pressure. So many young persons living with diabetes, they are faced with so much social pressure, which is related to the condition diabetes and lifestyle. You can imagine me at this age. No one ever wanted to come close to me. Everyone was like, oh, maybe she has HIV, because that was the boom of HIV. My family was my strong fort. They stayed with me. I didn't have friends. My best friends were my twin sister and my brother. So pressures like this can make you coil up into a shell. But with good knowledge about the condition, you can overcome all of this. So do not let any form of social pressure push you into an eggshell and not wanting to step up and let people know that this disease does not define who you are. So you can go beyond the way you look by equipping yourself with the right knowledge. And then the last point on this slide, I have just mentioned that managing diabetes actually requires a lot of educational demands. I have invested so much on diabetes education. I have read widely about this disease to equip myself with the right knowledge to better manage myself. And I am happy to say that this has worked tremendously. Looking at me back then at age 11 and looking at me now, you can see the vast difference. That is why I always talk about education. So now, the next slide is talking about the importance of early management and self-care. This is where this whole presentation actually came into my mind, and I said, no, I'm going to talk about living well with diabetes. It boils down to having a set routine for your self-care. So you must have a set routine. You must be consistent. Without being consistent and empowering yourself, you can never, ever have good management with your diabetes. So it's very, very, very important. You need to maintain physical and emotional health. Daddy mentioned this as well. Physical activity. Emotional health is very, very important. If you've got all of this wrong, it tops the table over and you end up being poorly managed by your own self. And you also need to empower yourself to have the right skills. You must be organized. If you're going out, make sure you have all your hypo treatments with you on your person. Make sure you have your medication on your person. Make sure that you have a card indicating that you live with diabetes and that this is the treatment you're on, because this will help whoever is around you during an emergency situation to know how to treat you. So it's very, very important. You must do the self-care. The doctors will not manage your diabetes for you. They will give you the foundation you need, but you need to step up on your own. Organize yourself and manage your diabetes. For me, I give out my whole weekend rather than going for parties. Once in a while, yes, I will go out with my family. But most weekends, I use my weekend to organize my week. I cook all my meals, count all my carbs, label all my meals, so that during the week, I'm not under any pressure. I'm not confused about what to eat. Everything I have to eat that I have to take to work is all organized. All I have to do is pick it up and put it in my lunch box, my lunch bag, and I'm headed to work. I come back, I already have what I'm going to have for dinner. So you need to organize yourself. Set very achievable self-care routine. The next slide, please. So now we're going to talk about emotional well-being and diabetes. Next slide, please. Okay, so recognizing and managing feelings about diabetes. Like I mentioned earlier, there's always that feeling of frustration, sadness, anger when you're managing diabetes. But you need to know that sharing actually matters and that you're not in this journey alone. That is a very, very important point to take home. And you have to be very open with communication. Sharing your lived experience helps people express their feelings about diabetes. That is why I love to share my lived experience. I've been there. I have seen most of what you people are seeing. And I'm here to tell you that diabetes cannot hold you down. If I can overcome diabetes, and if daddy that has lived with diabetes for over 40 years can overcome all the challenges associated with diabetes, you all can do the same. It's all about your disposition towards the disease. Don't look at it as if it's a curse or a death sentence. And the family circle is very, very important. This is something that has helped me right from my mom, my dad, my twin sister, my brother. They offered me the most solid support. And when I was getting married, my mom told my husband, I'm handing her over to you now. Take over from where we stopped. And he has been most supportive. So you must embrace your family. Your family must embrace you. And that is the only way that you can overcome and feel well and good about living with the disease. Family is very important. Having friends is very important because this helps you deal with that emotional aspect of living with diabetes. When you have that support, you know that you can overcome anything. The next slide, please. Okay, so now, how do you cope with stress, anxiety, and sadness? Daddy, I'm sorry, I'll keep calling you here because you spoke about this when one of the participants talked about how sad she felt living with diabetes, and that was when I gave you the double thumbs up. So coping with stress, we all know that impact of stress and anxiety on persons living with diabetes is very, very bad. It impacts your blood sugar levels. This is one aspect that people don't understand. When you are stressed, when you are anxious, when you are sad, this can result to your blood sugars going higher than they should be. And if this should linger over a long period of time, you'll be saddled with very high blood sugars and you're going to struggle to get your numbers down. So you have to find ways to cope with all these emotions. So we have so many relaxation techniques. Just think of something that you love doing. If you like to dance, if you like to cook, if you like to jog, anything. For me, what I love to do that relaxes me. I know some people always badge me with like, oh, why are you always in the kitchen? When I'm in the kitchen cooking my meals and the meals for my family, it gives me extreme joy. I'm in my happy place. And when I'm there, I don't think about anything. I love to take care of my plants. Even when I was back home in Nigeria, I had a garden at the back of my house where I planted different vegetables. And you see me every morning, I'm out there picking out vegetables I'm going to use for my salad, or picking out vegetables I'm going to use to make vegetable sauce. I love this kind of things I do, or activities. They help me relax, and this is what impacts on my overall diabetes management. And I don't have unnecessarily high numbers because I am relaxed. So you must find something to help you cope with stress and anxiety. And remember, sometimes you can do all of this and you still cannot relax. It is okay for you to seek professional help. Seeing a psychologist doesn't mean that you have gone mental. You just need someone to talk about. If it's your mother, if it's your sibling, or if you're married, your partner, you can speak to the person. And when you get all the pent up emotions out, you will realize that you feel better. Your diabetes is much under better control. So, emotional challenge needs to be addressed with doing things that you love. The next slide, please. Okay, so my daughter, while I was preparing this slide, she was like, Mom, we need to add this extra slide. I said, okay, so what do you think? And she says, Mommy, ask them what fun activities help them reduce stress. So if I can have maybe one or two persons come up and tell me what they love to do that they think will help them reduce all the stress associated with their diabetes management, that would be fun. Let's spice this up a little. So who is up for coming out to tell me what they love to do that they think will help them reduce the stress? Okay. Good evening, Mrs. Akaraka. You're welcome, darling. So for me, I love listening to music. Okay. Like once I have my headphones on, then I can see channel, listen to music, and dance. That's all my stress. And also, I love writing. Good. I love writing articles and reading things that just doing diverse things that makes me, feel relaxed and feel at home, feel good. So dancing, writing, and reading for me. Okay, that's brilliant. Yeah. I love that. I'm a music person too. I love music and I love to dance as well. Okay, do we have someone else that will speak? Good afternoon. Yeah. As for me, I love singing. Okay, that's good. I'm stressed. I love singing very well. Okay. Okay. That's brilliant as well. Okay. Okay. So if you don't mind, we can move to the next. Sorry?
Someone is still talking.
Okay, all right, no worries. Okay. Okay, that's good. What do you like to talk about? So what do you love talking about? Okay, I can't quite hear the young man. Should I go ahead and continue with the presentation? Do I have the permission to continue? Okay.
Yes, you can go ahead.
Okay, all
You
right.
can.
Okay, thank you. So, the next thing we're going to talk about is how to build resilience and positive self image. This is very, very important, and it is something that has always been a part of me, even when I was much younger with the diabetes diagnosis. I remember then at I think I was about maybe 8 or 9 when I was in hospital. I had a severe hypoglycemic episode. So I was rushed to the Jos University Teaching Hospital in Plateau State. And I remember when I had come out of my hypoglycemic shock, the doctor told me that even as I was brought in unconscious, I had that smile on my lips, even when I wasn't conscious. And I was like, that's really weird. So you mean I was actually smiling whilst I was unconscious? He said, yes. And then he says, please never stop smiling. And that I have done from that day he told me that. You need to always build a positive self image. It is very, very important if you live with diabetes. There is no need for you to be sad, grumpy, and not being happy about yourself or everyone around you, or thinking the world has come to a complete halt because you have a diabetes diagnosis. So it is very important to build a positive self image, because this will give you confidence to better manage your diabetes challenges effectively. And this has helped me. I can tell you firsthand, having a positive self image has helped me build my diabetes management well. It has given me confidence. There's nothing that diabetes will throw at me that will make me frown or feel sad in any way. I use my inner peace, my inner positiveness to bring out that healing power within me to make me better manage my diabetes. And that I would employ each and every one of you. That includes all your caregivers. Never feel sad or say, oh, why me? Why does this have to be me? And why God? Don't ask questions. Accept that you are living with the disease and move forward. Think of ways that you can better make your diabetes management more effective. Like I mentioned in previous slides, you need to organize yourself. Once you are well organized, everything about your diabetes self-care will be a walk in the park. And then, how do you build resilience? So, you have to find people who live with this disease that have succeeded in life. Get yourself associated with them. Go online, watch what people, even very young children, are doing to empower themselves and to help them live strong with diabetes. Remember, Daddy mentioned this again. Diabetes should never define you. You define diabetes. Diabetes tried to throw so much at me, but I never let it hold me down. Rather, I let it make me stronger. So diabetes should make you stronger amidst all the challenges. Social support systems for young people living with diabetes. We can move to the next slide, please. Okay. Family, family, family. I cannot begin to tell you how important family is in encouraging, providing emotional support, and helping you in your day-to-day life. That's a picture of my family and I. They have been my most crucial support, and they have helped me in so many ways that when my parents handed me over to my husband and then my children came along, we all just blended in. And it has given me a reason to continue to move forward. And I want to use this as a way to reach out to you young kids and teenagers out there at the camp, that living with the disease does not mean you cannot attain what other people that don't live with the disease have attained. You can even attain more. So it's very, very important that you have that solid emotional support. And my family, they've been amazing. I cannot overemphasize that. You can see in the photo there, my daughter, she's 11, already knows what mom needs to take to work. So then they were on school holiday, and before I was ready to leave, she had packed up my lunch and labeled it. You can see how she has labeled it. She wrote my name on it, Mom. She knows how much carbs that I had previously put on my list that I was going to take to work, and she labeled that for me so that when I'm matching my insulin to my carbs, I know how much it is there already. And on the other photo is my son helping me prep the vegetable that we were going to use to eat our meal. And I would remind you that my family and I, we all eat the same meal. I don't cook two separate meals. So we all eat the same meal. And this has even brought us closer and makes managing diabetes a lot better for me, because comparing to my married life and having children and managing diabetes with when I was living with my parents, I really felt bad, because then my parents and my siblings had to eat an entirely different meal from myself. And I could see the strain that was putting on my mom, because my mom had to cook two different pots. And that on its own had a very bad emotional impact on myself, because I love to eat rice. And then I was told, you cannot eat rice. Emotionally, that made me feel so sad. And I was so unhappy. I never enjoyed eating my food. So you can see how having to do separate things in a family unit can impact negatively on the health of the person living with diabetes. And one night I said, oh, I've had enough. My mom cooked very nice jollof rice with dry fish. And she went to bed. Everybody went to bed. And what I had to eat that night was moi moi and vegetables. And honestly, I wasn't even tasting what I was eating. I was literally swallowing the food. I said, today I must eat this jollof rice, whether they like it or not. So everybody went to bed. I was just waiting until my parents closed their room door. And then I snuck out into the kitchen. I said, this jollof rice, I will eat you today. I don't care what will happen to my blood sugar. And that was how I was shoving spoons of jollof rice into my mouth. And I didn't know that my mom noticed when my room door opened, and she came to the kitchen and stood at the kitchen door. And she was like, what are you doing? I couldn't even talk because my mouth was filled with jollof rice. I literally swallowed up everything. And I was like, Mom, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. She said, no, just come. She just hugged me and we both started crying. And I said that as a rule, Even when I met my husband, I said, babe, we're going to be eating the same meals. I'm not cooking any separate meal because this is us going to eat healthy. And that has how it has been. And I have passed that on to my children. And I want you, parents of children or teenagers living with diabetes, to take this on as well. This is a way you can encourage better self-care management. So do things together. Anything, going to hospital, cooking, everything. Do everything together. Taking walks, you must do everything together so that that person doesn't feel alone. So that's the way you can encourage persons living with diabetes. So can we move to the next slide, please? Okay, so now support from friends and diabetes peer groups. Daddy, once again, I'm sorry I have to keep calling you today because you just said everything that I was going to talk about in my presentation. You must include your friends in your diabetes journey. Include your friends in your diabetes journey because this helps to reduce stigma. It helps to reduce isolation. Like, there's so much positive emotional support that comes with having friends and peer support groups that live with the disease to help you live a life out of isolation from diabetes. Now, in the most recent years, support groups have been a thing of positive achievements in the emotional and social well-being of persons living with diabetes. Look for a support group. Share with your friends. Sit them down and tell them, do you know what diabetes is? Educate them. This helps form a very strong emotional bond and also gives them understanding. And this on its own enhances personal well-being. We learn from each other. So from support group, my support group, we learn a lot from each other because we talk about different challenges that we have faced with diabetes. And this person will say, oh, when I had this is what I did. This is what my doctor advised. Then if you have something similar to that, you discuss with your doctor and say, what do you think about this? And you talk and see how you can achieve good personal, emotional well-being. It's very, very helpful. And these are my DDoC buddies. Everyone here lives with type 1 diabetes, and all of us here had different things to share about our diabetes journey. And I can proudly say that we all were able to learn from each other. So it's very good to have a peer support group that you can associate with so that you can talk about, ask questions, and just share, general sharing. The next slide, please. Okay, now, empowering kids and teenagers to live strong. Next slide, please. Okay, so I have said this in my earlier slides. Importance of self-care routines. Self-care routine is definitely on the top list of building confidence. If you don't have a good self-care routine, you will struggle with managing your diabetes. Like I said earlier on, you need to plan your meals ahead of time. Plan what you're going to have for breakfast a day before. Plan what you're going to have for lunch a day before. Plan ahead. And all your medication, must be taken ahead of your meals. This will keep you in line with your self-care management, and you will not run into problems. If you're someone who before you have your food, you don't even bother about checking your blood sugar or taking your medications before, you will run into problems. What if your blood sugar was low before you had your meal? What would you do? You will end up having a lower blood sugar if you have taken your insulin before you eat your food. That's a problem. So you need to plan everything. Remember, plan your meals, check your blood sugar before your meals, know how much of carbohydrates you're going to take to match to the insulin that you're going to take. And keep up with your doctor's visits. Don't be afraid to go and visit your healthcare professional or tell them that you feel this, you feel that. Just generally plan. If you're going out, if you're traveling, make sure you have a checklist. Plan all the drugs you need. Have like double or triple of the drugs you're going to need for the journey. Even if it's a 2-day journey, take more than enough so that in case of eventualities, you don't run into problems. And when you see that you practice good self-care routine, your confidence is actually boosted. You feel more confident, you can come out and do whatever you need to do. Don't let what people would say hold you back from doing the right thing. People tell me, oh, why do you carry such a big bag to work? I said, to contain everything I need for my diabetes care in case of emergencies. I have everything in my bag. Not when I want to take my injection, I'll say, oh, my injection is at home. I forgot to bring it to work. I have injection for my workplace. I have injection for the house. I have my drugs everywhere. So plan your life well, how to manage your diabetes well. Make sure your machines are working as they should work. Make sure your insulin is in an insulin wallet with an ice pack in it. Generally, just plan your self-care routine. Be a routine person. This will help you manage your diabetes better. Don't say, I don't want to go out with this. People will talk. People will say, oh, why are you doing this? Why are you injecting yourself out in public? Forget about what people will say. Educate them when they talk that way. Can we move to the next slide, please? Okay, finding role models and support networks. When you associate yourself with persons living with diabetes that have been successful and committed to managing their health, it will inspire you as a young person living with diabetes or as a kid living with diabetes. Look for role models that you can associate yourself with. On the slide on the top left are role models that I have been following for years that live with diabetes. And finally, I got to be in the same spot with them. After years of following their progress, it encouraged me to continue to do what I'm doing. Get support network. Connect with supportive communities that helps keep teenagers and kids living with diabetes motivated in their overall diabetes journey. Don't isolate yourself. If you don't have one around you, create one around you. You'll be surprised to see the number of persons who have been hiding in a shell come out openly because you have come out. So you can actually encourage other people who have been living in denial to come out and express themselves. So this helps a lot. The next slide, please. Okay, this is me. I always celebrate achieving even the minutest goal in my diabetes care. This is very important. Some people in my support group always frown when they have blood sugar readings of like maybe 7 or 8, and they say, oh, that blood sugar level is too high. And I tell them, it's not too high. You can never have the same blood sugar level all the time. And when you have that ideal blood sugar level for your individualized treatment plan, you need to celebrate it. Before, I was focused on numbers, and forgetting my emotional well-being, and that impacted negatively on my diabetes. Sometimes just one bad number will spoil my whole week, and I'm grumpy. I'm like, I did everything, I ticked all the boxes, how come I'm still having this number? What happened? Don't dwell on what happened. When you retrace your steps backwards, find out how you went wrong, make that correction, and celebrate whatever milestones that you have achieved. You need to always focus on healthy and positive outcomes with your diabetes care. It's very, very important to focus on your positive outcomes, no matter how small it is. I think the slide has gone off. Let's give them a moment to get it all sorted. Okay, so like I said, you must always celebrate every win, no matter how minute achievements you have made in your diabetes journey. You must celebrate it. Even if you've had 2 days of perfect time in range with your glucose levels, you must celebrate it at all times. Don't feel bad when you don't achieve that set goal that you wanted to achieve, even having after ticked all the boxes. And we all know that as human beings, when we are encouraged, it gives us that inspiration to envision a very bright and healthy future with diabetes that is full of so many opportunities. So we need to set future goals and try and get them achieved. And don't let any little setback hold you back from moving forward. Always celebrate every little win that you have. That is something that I always advise people to do. You must not have one full week of perfect time in range for you to celebrate. Even one day of having a totally perfect glucose control. Dance that day and say, oh, I have done this. Oh, you will see the next day you're even more motivated. So celebration with your achievements in your self-care management is absolutely important. We can move to the next slide, please. So group discussion time. So I would like 3 persons that haven't spoken before to come out, and we're going to talk about point 1 or 2. And I will start off with myself. So the first question is, what has been the hardest part of living with diabetes? Nobody should laugh at what I'm going to say now. I'm not a foodie person, but as a child, I loved rice, any form of rice, the way it is cooked. And when my doctors told me when I was 7, oh, you cannot eat rice anymore. It has to be vegetable, beans, I was like, oh my God, that was the hardest part for me. And the question I asked, I said, how am I going to survive eating vegetable and beans for the rest of my life? That was the hardest part of diabetes for me. Not even the daily injections. My own was, I was thinking of, that jollof rice. Even till date, I still love my jollof rice or white rice or any kind of rice. It was hard for me. And you know what I am most proud of with my 37 plus years living with diabetes is that I never allowed diabetes to define me as an individual. I lived past being referred to as a person living with diabetes. With diabetes, I was able to accomplish 4 degrees, and the 5th one in the making with diabetes. Diabetes didn't hold me back. Rather, it made me stronger. It made me yearn to want to know more about this disease. And that is what carved my career path to the medical field. I needed to understand this disease. Why does this disease do this? What can we do to make living with this disease more enjoyable? So I speak to each and every one of you there. Diabetes should not hold you back from achieving the goals that you want to achieve. Rather, use your diagnosis of diabetes as an additional push to make you work harder and achieve what you need to achieve. So that is me, and I will look forward to the 3 children or teenagers that are going to tell me the hardest part of their diabetes journey and what they are proud of after their diabetes diagnosis. So I'm going to just listen, and I will answer any questions you have. I'm not going to be judgmental about anybody. Just feel free. You're with me. I'm an easygoing person. Just let's gist. This is discussion time. So when you're ready, I'm game.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon, darling.
It's my Minat, and the hardest part of diabetes for me is actually, let's say, when I was still young, the friends around me, they will always be like, you can't play with her. If you touch her now, she will fall down. If you do this to her now, she will do this, she will do that. So that was actually the hardest part for me then. And but thank God I actually went past it. And even at this age, so when I was still in university, my roommate at times, maybe when I'm having hypo, they will be like, hey, you can't do this, so Memuna, you cannot do this, so don't allow her to do this, and then I will not be feeling bad like the thing I cannot do this, and then as time goes on, some people be making jest of me. But as time goes on, I just take it as anyhow you want to see, that's me. I will do it the way I want it. Then glory be to God. I'm now a BSc holder of the University of London.
Oh, that's brilliant. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And you can see you didn't bother about what people were going to say about you or what they said about you. You just went ahead. So next time, because you still got a long way to go, so next time, just create like a discussion group and tell them, what do people really understand about diabetes? You know, this is the stigma that we're talking about. Even for me that works in a hospital, even amongst my fellow colleagues who are clinicians, I still get stigmatized because people are still struggling to come to terms with understanding this condition called diabetes. And I never fall short of educating them. And they'll be like, oh, we didn't know. You can imagine one of my colleagues, an advanced nurse practitioner, when I was talking about me not having hypoglycemic awareness, and she was like, what caused that? I was like, don't you know what causes hypo unawareness? She was like, no, that she has never heard of it before. And I was like, okay, sit down, let's have a discussion. You tell them, and once you've told them, you will see a change. So always feel free, just say, sit down, let's have a discussion. What is it that you need to understand about this disease? Why do you think the disease is like this, is like that? You just speak to them. So you've done absolutely well, and kudos on you. So just keep educating, keep it going, keep it going. So do we have a next person, please? Good afternoon.
For me, the hardest part of yes, ma'am. The hardest part of that is for me, they actually to first, it's getting to be familiar with my present stature because I think 2 years back I was chubby, I was robust, but the tremendous weight loss. Like when people ask me, what happened to you? Why are you this lean? What happened to your schedule and all of that? They ask me questions. I was like, okay, and yeah, I was sick and everything. They were like, no. There was even on my file who used to call me one name today to tell me I'm a dry crayfish, and I say, okay, no, while leave me alone. I said, not come to your house to come and bed. I'm fine. Like I get different comments like that. People call me dry corn, dry crayfish, to Papa, you have been this night way before. What happened to you? Blah blah blah. I have to get to deal with those questions every day and every day. And at this point, I told myself, see, all of you years don't know I am diabetic. I even posted on my WhatsApp status one day. And somebody entered my DM and was saying, why will you post this on your status? You're not supposed to say it now. No, it's not every lining you spread outside. You don't have to tell people you are diabetic. People have other ailments that they are not seen under that they don't tell people that you don't have to say it. I was like, when these questions are getting too much, then the second part for me is the aspect of the insulin, injecting myself every day. Like, I get to rotate the injection sites at times, and sometimes always painful. Sometimes I get sores there, the black spots and everything. Those are the two things actually for me. Thank you.
Okay. So we'll just get a quick feedback on the hardest parts of diabetes for you. So it's okay. Like I said, that most of you I have that are passing through all of this. I have passed through the same thing as well. And like I said, education is the greatest power tool, because so many people out there, they might even be living with the disease without even knowing. And you going out there and spreading the word, irrespective of whatever any person has said or whatever they are saying or feeling, just be yourself, be open, share your diabetes status. And don't ever like refer to yourself as a diabetic, because that connotes stigma. It means you're allowing the disease to define you. So when you're referring to yourself, refer to yourself as an individual or a person living with diabetes. Okay? And just keep spreading the word and tell people, to be honest, what do you need fat for when you live with diabetes? And you can get back the body that you want to get back, but not that you be obese in any way. So once you have gotten the right treatment plan for yourself, you can see my photo when I was 11. You can see how skinny I was. And I could tell you that back then, there was so much a poor understanding about insulin management with food. So it was a struggle, and I went past that struggle. Once you understand how to balance your insulin to your carbohydrate ratio, you will find out that your body starts to come back. You won't look dry in any way. So it's a learning curve for you. You will get there. Don't let it deter you from doing the things that you need to do, and don't let it drown your positive spirit. Just keep being positive, do what you're doing, go to your doctor's visits. If you have any issues, discuss with the diabetes nurses that are managing yourself. So it has to be a planned or a total change in your management plan, and you will see that you get yourself back. Because sometimes if your blood sugars are overly high, you will notice the weight loss will still keep happening. So keeping your blood sugar in the right target range 80% of the time will get you back to where you want to be. Like I say, every day with diabetes is a school day. Even for myself, every day there's something new that I learn about diabetes that I never know. So as persons living with diabetes, we best understand how we feel, and talking and communicating with our healthcare providers will provide that synergy to help improve our self-care. So don't feel bad about it. Just keep doing what you're doing. Every day is a school day, and you, before you know it, it will be a thing of the past. And you'll be like, oh, I remember when these people used to say this, when they used to say that. Don't let it get to you. Just move on. Okay?
I want to thank you. I want to thank you very much indeed, Kiruka, for your time.
Thank you, sir.
So who's thanking Kiruka for us? No. Thank her for her time.
On behalf of everybody, I want to say a very big thank you for taking out time to educate us more from your knowledge.
You're very much welcome. It's always my pleasure. I live and breathe diabetes. I'm always excited. Like my husband always says that I behave like a little child in a candy store. When you talk about diabetes, you need to see the excitement. I'm like happy. I want to talk. I just want to make people not feel overwhelmed by the disease. Man, you live with diabetes. It's the best thing ever. Be excited. Be happy. Don't frown. I'm like, oh, no, it's not needed. Be excited about the disease. You're even healthier than most people who don't live with the disease. So you're living a healthy life. It's always my pleasure, and I wish you all the best. And I can take any questions. Dr. Adeshino has my details, so if anyone wants to have a chat with me, you can get them from Dr. Adeshino. So that's not a problem at all.
Thank you very much indeed. We appreciate it. So we're going on a break now. We'll be back at 12 noon.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.